everyone. Again, my name is Phil Hysell. I'm the warning coordination meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Blacksburg. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'd like to share with you some of the things we do at the National Weather Service, as well as some of the programs we have for teachers and students. Now, when I introduce myself to people and tell them I'm a meteorologist, one of the first questions I hear is, what TV station do you work for? They would not put this face on television. So I work for the federal government. Your tax dollars pay for my salary and our services. The National Weather Service is one of 5 agencies under NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We are under the Department of Commerce because over $1 trillion of our nation's economy is dependent on weather and climate. Now, the National Weather Service in Blacksburg is one of 122 National Weather Service offices located across the United States, all shown by the red dots there. And you will find that many meteorologists like myself in the Weather Service very rarely stay at one location if you want to move up in your career. My career started at an office that no longer exists in southwest Missouri and Monette between Springfield and Joplin. I then worked in Wichita, Kansas, moved to Wilmington, Ohio as a forecaster, went back to Wichita as a senior forecaster, spent 3 years in Jackson, Kentucky as a warning coordination meteorologist, and that's the position I hold here and have held here for 11.5 years. This is our office, again, right across the street from the Virginia Tech Airport, and we are the only agency that can issue official severe thunderstorm, flash flood, tornado, and winter storm warnings. So when you hear that warning and get excited about a potential school day, I tell you, I got excited as a kid when there was a chance to have a day off for winter weather. Holy cow! I never realized teachers were more excited as I became an adult and started interacting with you guys. So we issue those warnings and advisories and forecasts for these 40 counties across portions of West Virginia, Western Virginia, and Northwest North Carolina. It's a very challenging area to forecast because of the terrain. You know, when I worked in Kansas, it was actually quite easy because there was not much difference in the topography and terrain. During quiet weather days, we're actually quite busy updating our forecast every 3 hours. We provide climate summaries. We do aviation forecasts. Every pilot flying in and out of Blacksburg, Roanoke Regional Airport is using our forecast information. Fire weather forecast, we have a close relationship with the Department of Forestry and the Forest Service. So just talk a little bit about my position in the Weather Service. It's a highly coveted and unique position because there's only one warning coordination meteorologist in each National Weather Service office. This is, I truly think, the dream job in the Weather Service. And for those of you who are baseball fans, think of me as the super utility player. I basically fill in the holes that are needed depending on the situation. So I conduct storm surveys. That's the survey we conducted after the Appomattox tornado on February 24th of last year. And when I determine how strong the winds are, what caused the damage was the straight line winds, tornadoes. We interact with the VIPs there. I'm talking with the governor who was on site asking about what we were seeing. And equally as important in our eyes is this gentleman behind the governor. That is Gene Stewart, one of the emergency managers. He's a regional emergency manager. They are a core partner of the National Weather Service. Our missions of saving lives and protecting property are closely aligned, and we work with them very closely prior to, during, and after severe weather events. So another aspect of my job is public awareness and preparedness, getting people prepared for significant weather events. So I will often go and speak at Kiwanis clubs and other civic organizations about how to prepare for severe weather. Another core partner of ours is the broadcast media. So we work very closely with the broadcast meteorologists to make sure we are sending out a consistent message prior to a significant weather event, make sure that our warnings are meeting their needs. And then I do some spreadsheet work and math. This busy chart here is the GPRA, the Government Performance Requirement Act, where we are required by Congress to meet specific goals for our warnings in terms of lead time, probability of detection, false alarms. So I maintain spreadsheets and oversee our severe weather program. And about 3 days out of the month, I'm here creating the forecast, which is my first love, was forecasting weather. So this is our operations floor, and I'm working a shift on Sunday, so if the forecast seems a little subpar, you know why. So what got me interested in meteorology? Let me just say, when I researched this event and saw black and white photos and yellowing papers, it was very depressing. But anyway, so when I was a kid, a very young kid by the way, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, and we had this big event, what's called the Super Outbreak, where over 140 tornadoes occurred across the southeast United States, including an EF3 in Salem, Virginia. And my dad was out of town, and I'll never forget, my neighbors came over and told my mom, look, we need to get to a shelter. So they left the homes we were in and we drove toward the tornado, and I remember seeing it and just thinking, even as a young kid, thinking this is not a good idea. So that obviously left a very big impression on me, and ever since then I was absolutely fascinated by weather. And you will find that if you talk to a meteorologist or a child in your class who loves weather, there's some event in their young lives that they experience that really generated interest in weather. So I want to thank the teachers here who help students every day, because I had some teachers along my way that really cultivated my interest. When I was at Myers Middle School in Louisville, my homeroom teacher said, she recognized that I had an interest in weather and said, I tell you what, Phil, why don't you give a morning briefing to our class, a forecast every morning for homeroom. That made my day. I was so excited to go to school and present my weather forecast that I got off the radio or newspaper back then, or watching my favorite TV meteorologist. And then when I went to Seneca High School, this teacher here, Mr. Dewey Beadle, he was my physics teacher. He recognized that I had a strong interest in weather and really helped me understand atmospheric sciences. He had this machine that you would sit in and throw a tennis ball while spinning to explain Coriolis force. It was great. And he got me out of 6-period orchestra to take me to the Weather Service office in Louisville, where I got to sit with a meteorologist and watch him and her work on the weather radar and how they issue warnings. And I was just fascinated by it. Immediately I said, that is exactly what I want to do. And that may have not been possible without Mr. Beadle, my physics teacher. And I just threw this in here. When I saw there were PhDs here today, I felt like I had to justify my presence here. This is an honor award I got in mathematics in 1986. It was the advanced program. All right, so what do we do in terms of outreach from the National Weather Service? Well, we participate when the Virginia Association of Science Teachers Conference is in Roanoke, and this year it is in Roanoke, so we will have a table there. We do give presentations to schools for 6th graders and older about Weather 101 or weather safety. I will say this. My experience is that the children will get more out of it if a broadcast meteorologist, somebody they recognize, this comes. Now, just to say that we won't come, but I think they may get more from that from somebody they see like on Facebook Live. Brett Watts does the thing on Facebook Live. They say, oh, there's the guy I see on Facebook Live. We do offer tours, again, for 6th graders and older. Our facility is fairly small, so we can only accommodate 15 to 20 students at a time. And we do participate every year in the Virginia Tech Science Festival. I think where we can be of benefit to you primarily is through the resources that we have online. And I have a list of those up here that I invite you to take with you. Now this looks like it's for the younger children, but there's actually some information here that's relevant to like middle school age students. If there's students looking for opportunities to intern in NOAA or maybe some grants, that's on this website. Again, I have a handout with all these listed. If a student wants to learn more about meteorology, atmospheric sciences, kind of an intro to meteorology 101. There is a school for weather online called Jetstream. That is, I think, a high school level. That is a great resource to learn more about weather. And if you want more information about atmospheric sciences, meteorology, you can incorporate in your classrooms. The NOAA Office of Education has a wealth of information on their website that you can download. So just to give you a little bit of idea about the staffing at the National Weather Service, it's not just meteorologists. So if you have a student who's interested in computer sciences, every Weather Service office has one information technology officer that writes computer programs and code and scripts and updates our software. We have a hydrologist. Maybe you have somebody who's very interested in water hydrology. Every office has a hydrologist. You have somebody that loves electronics. We have 3 electronic technicians that work on our Doppler radar, the NOAA weather radio system, electronics in general. You see all the computer systems we have here that they help with. We have a support system for payroll and other duties. So it's not just meteorologists that work at the National Weather Service. So if you have a student who is interested in meteorology, what are some things that they should be pursuing? Definitely take as many math courses as possible and try to take the higher level math courses that are available. If I applied for a Weather Service position today, I would not even make the first round to go to the next level. Because when I got into Weather Service in the late 80s, early 90s, a vast majority of us had a bachelor's degree. Now, 72% of all people hired by the National Weather Service have a master's degree or higher. And to give you an idea about how competitive it is, For an entry-level position in the Weather Service, the average number of applicants is 325 people for one position. Now, this may improve in the next 5 to 10 years because you look at the demographics of the Weather Service, they're mostly like me. Middle-aged guys who are about ready to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. So there may be opportunities down the road, 5 to 10 years down the road. Some things that we have to take to get our degree in atmospheric sciences and meteorology include 3 semesters of calculus, calculus 1, 2, and 3, differential equations, thermodynamics, kinematics, calculus-based physics, remote sensing and instrumentation. So to a lot of students, when I tell them that, you can see they get a little bit intimidated. But let me tell you, my ACT and SAT scores were very average, and if I can become a meteorologist, then anybody can. Just keep that in mind. Have them take as many math courses as possible. Computer sciences is also very important. At the very, very least, and this is probably even lower than what it should be, pre-calculus at a bare minimum before you enter college. And what we're finding now is that it's more than just making an accurate forecast and a good forecast. We can issue the most accurate forecast the best morning with 30 minutes lead time before the tornado touches down. But if we cannot communicate that and people don't take the appropriate response, it's worthless. So public speaking, communication is critical now. And what we're finding is we see a lot of students who are very passionate about weather. They love forecasting. Maybe they have a blog or a Facebook site that their friends go to. But it takes much more than that to get a career in meteorology, in the National Weather Service, or even in the private sector. And with as few positions as we are hiring, a very large majority of meteorologists graduating from college now are getting positions in the private sector. They are the ones that are hiring most of the meteorologists. And quite frankly, we are probably graduating more meteorologists than the industry can take in. So not only math, but also have another skill combined with that. GIS, social sciences is a growing field in the National Weather Service and in meteorology, trying to understand human behavior, why people don't respond to warnings, or what they do when severe weather approaches. Public speaking is really important because we're transitioning again from just creating forecasts and products to being a consultant to emergency managers, broadcast meteorologists when there's a significant weather event. During this last flooding event, we would call emergency managers and say, hey, I just want to let you know that the Dam River is now going to major flooding, and we know that the impacts are these car lots are going to get flooded, so you might want to move those cars. That type of consulting, so it's really important that you can communicate that. If you have somebody, again, that's interested in meteorology, get them involved. Have them go to the TV station, tour the TV station. Again, we offer tours. Have them come out to the National Weather Service and have them do something. We have several programs to be a citizen scientist, like become a storm spotter. You can take a class online. Get a rain gauge and report your rainfall through COCOROS, the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. That helps our weather models, and that information gets into the National Weather Service. So there's so many things you can do to cultivate that interest and help the National Weather Service and meteorologists in general. So that's my very quick overview about the National Weather Service and meteorology in general, and careers in meteorology. And I look forward to taking your questions at the end.